Hello, friends. My name is Dr. Hazel
Hmm.
Grace, and I am joined here with Dr. Teresa Hooker, and we are both facilitating events at the Ritual Wellness House in Sacramento, February 1st. And we thought we'd jump on here because our events happening at the same place on the same day are very complementary. And so we wanted to have this dialogue and just share how we see these two events really supporting one another. Who am I? I am the creator of the Art of Repair, which is a methodology to allow you to navigate after ruptures and conflicts in a way that brings you back into connection. I've been a relationship and intimacy coach for the last 15 years. And I'll pass it over to you, Dr. Teresa, to introduce who you are.
Hi, Hazel-Grace. I'm so happy to be here with you. It's wonderful to have a chance to talk about our offerings together. I am a psychologist in the greater Sacramento area and throughout California, and also a facilitator of events and community circles, retreats sometimes, different things that are focused on deepening relationship with ourselves and our bodies, and also deepening in relationship with community. So
Mm,
the gist of my work. And I'm so excited to be weaving with you and the opportunity to experience your offering this
mhm.
Sunday and
Yeah.
be there together. Yeah.
Yeah. As I heard you say community, I'm just like, oh boy, is there ever a time
Yeah.
that is our medicine. That is our
Yeah.
medicine. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
much.
yeah, so I'll talk just a little bit about the art of repair. If you have any questions about it or anything you want to add, please feel free to. The art of repair that's happening at Ritual on February 1st, there's a 3-hour workshop, and you're going to get to understand this 6-step process that in some ways is a very simple process. There's 6 steps, and there's the simplicity of it is I think part of its brilliance in that it is only 6 steps. Um,
Mm.
However, there's so much layer and so much nuance and depth within each of those steps. And
Mhm.
so, for those, including you, who are going to be there to experience the workshop, you will walk away with a foundation of the process. The way that I teach is very interactive, and so there's going to be exercises for you to kind of like integrate and embody the teachings. And so you'll be using like a real life minor baby conflict that you have in your life to be able to practice the tools and the skills,
Mm.
not actually doing a repair with someone in the room. Like you'll practice with something so that we can be as kind of like in our grounded, centered self as we take in new skills and learn new
Mm.
tools.
Mm.
And just to name the 6 steps of the repair process. And when I say the repair process, we use it for when there's some sort of rupture, conflict, harm, misunderstanding, so that we can come back into connection again. So the 6 steps of the process. The first two you do on your own, away from the person that you're in conflict, and that's to prepare yourself to be ready to have the conversation. And that's the step that most people skip or don't even know that that is a step.
Mm.
So the first step is called resourcing. So that looks like how can I resource my nervous system so that I can be as grounded, centered in my heart and my ground as possible for the
Mm.
conversation.
Mm.
And then the next step is empathy. So exploring empathy for ourselves, meaning validate our own experience of what it was like for us. And then also exploring empathy for the other by being
Mm.
curious, like what might have been going on for them. There's a whole world over there, and maybe I don't have all the information, but just allowing yourself to like extend curiosity about what was going on for the other person.
Mm.
And those two steps allow you to prepare to ask permission to have a repair conversation so that people aren't blindsided, so that both people can choose to opt in and make sure they feel resourced to have the conversation. And I have a 5-step frame that really is succinct and it really sets both people up for success. So that's the first 3 steps. I call that the prep, REP. And then we move into the second half of the process, AIR,
Mm.
which is air, which is fun because it's an acronym within an acronym.
Right.
So AIR, yeah. So AIR is clearing the air conversation. And
Awesome.
so the next step is acknowledge, and acknowledge talks about like what happened. Can we get to an understanding of how each person experienced what happened? I
Mm,
call that getting to shared reality. And a lot of people try and lead with their impact of how they felt, but the risk of doing that is not understanding one another's reality. So the
mm,
impact doesn't land as well unless you really get from the other person's perspective what they remember happening.
mm,
And then we move into impact. Now
mm,
that I understand what you experienced, um, this is how it impacted me. I
mm,
felt scared. I lost opportunity. Um,
mm,
it impacted trust, whatever the impact is, and like really reflecting and having that empathetic listening. And then once both people feel deeply heard and understood, we move into the last step in the process, which is called restore integrity.
mm,
And that is 5 different actionable ways
mm,
to begin to restore any trust or connection that was broken or lost. So a lot of people will just like stop at an apology
mhm,
or not really know, like, okay, I really understand you, but I don't know where to go from here. What can I do to make it up to you? And so this menu of actionable things can really help the process be thorough,
mm.
and also to prevent future conflicts from happening. So we're not only cleaning up the past, but we're setting ourselves up for future moving forward. So
Mm.
that's the process in a nutshell. And I want to, see if you have any questions, but I also want to make sure there's time for you to share about your
Yeah,
event as well.
yeah. Well, I'm just moved to say how rich that sounds. So comprehensive and rich with um, nuance and relational attunement. It's really beautiful to hear you articulate just even the summary of it.
Mm,
And I'm also struck with how important this skill set is for every single one of us. I mean, obviously, it's so important for our closest relationships, right? Like, um, that's where the most challenging emotional turmoil comes up and how hard it can be to really truly do those deep repairs that help sustain long-term intimacy and trust.
mhm,
And it's like such a core essential skill that we need as a collective and as community members. I
mhm,
feel like many of us are so scared to be in community because we don't know how to navigate our differences with grace and empathy and skill,
mhm.
right? I mean, and so it's just so powerful. It's so powerful and applicable in like every aspect of life. I'm so grateful that you're offering that.
Mm. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so that'll be in the morning. Thanks for all those reflections. And
Yeah.
then if you want to stay for a whole day with Hazel, Grace, and Teresa, join us for you want to share about your event.
Yes, yes. Well, yeah, the other thing that comes to mind in thinking about the connection here between what you're doing and what I'm doing in the afternoon, what I'm doing in the afternoon is a community grief ritual, a circling experience together, coming together to experience and be with grief. And in my mind, the connection there is, one of the gates to grief that Francis Weller talks about, a wise teacher on grief, is when we don't receive the love that we expect or need, and
Mm,
how the pain we feel when those moments occur is actually grief. And this is a profound insight. I mean, I feel like most of us don't think about it as that. Most of us don't think about the pain we feel in breaks or hurts in relationship as grief when we come into reality of the way someone didn't meet us in a way we needed them to meet us. That reality is not typically not a story about them not loving, them not caring, or one self being unworthy of that care. Those are stories. The reality is it was a miss, and
mm,
there's pain, there's grief in that, you know. sadness, or maybe there's an inability or incompatibility that needs to be recognized. And there's grief in that. There's a loss in that for the hope or the dream or the wish that could have been that could have been different. So and likewise on community levels, or whether we feel like we belong or not.
Hmm.
So I think there can be so much grief that comes up in these pieces, and I think it's so important to know how to be with that emotion.
Hmm.
So that's what we're doing in the later part of the day. There's going to be this gathering of community members to be with our grief. And this month, we do this every month at Ritual. And
Oh, I didn't know y'all did it monthly.
yes, it's going to be the first Sunday of every month, and we started in January. This is our second one,
Okay.
and we're collaborating with community members. So this month and in February, we have two folks from our community who have wonderful medicine and skill sets around facilitating um, using our voice and using sound and music to be with emotion, to be with our experience internally, to share and experience together that that aspect of ourselves and bring that into community. So um,
Mhm.
Ivan and Isabel from our community are going to be offering their music and singing into our grief ritual. So
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
so excited to have that, and it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah. I had this thought when when I knew the grief ritual was coming up. I was like, I'm not accessing much grief in my life right now, and which I think the truth is at any moment anyone could actually access grief in their life, and I will update that to say that there's definitely plenty for me to
Mm,
be grieving, and I'm
mm, yeah,
really grateful to have this container to be held in. And I'm so excited, and I'm curious if you feel the same. I feel like grief work is starting to become more and more like in our communities, and I'm
yeah.
so grateful for that. And I really do feel like
Mm,
grief work is peace work, and
mm,
us being able to feel our wholeness and our integration by way of feeling the
yeah.
depths and the dynamics of our grief. So thank you
Mm,
so much for bringing that. And I love this community aspect of
yeah,
and it being a monthly kind of like tradition for the
yeah,
community
yeah,
in Sacramento. So it's really beautiful.
yeah. I feel like grief is often something that many of us avoid. Like it's uncomfortable to feel, right? It's easy to just sort of do other things than slow down and be with the grief that's there until it gets so intense that we can't avoid it or something. We have some kind of big catharsis or breakdown or something. But in my experience, I think it's also hard to understand what's meant by the fact that there's a relationship between capacity for grieving and capacity for love or joy. Like
Mhm.
they really are two sides of the same coin in our experience, because we grieve because we love, we grieve because something matters. And so to be able to develop capacity for grief has this direct relationship with our capacity for being in our joy and our love and our celebration of life,
Mm,
and everything in it. And I feel like that's hard to really understand until you experience it. So my
mhm.
hope is that folks will feel an invitation, if you're feeling like a pull to, or you're kind of curious about that, to maybe experience what is it like to come together in a supportive community and explore the experience of being with grief. There's you have full agency throughout the entire experience to kind of take that at whatever pace you feel like you need to take it.
Mm,
And it's not like there'll be a pressure to sort of have a big cathartic experience. It might just be this time, and observing of what the
mhm.
process is, and being with what is it like to be with people who are exploring grief. And everybody is different for everyone who's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like the experience of it is really important, and to just kind of lean into what can that look like? What might be there for me if there's any curiosity about it? Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. That was so well said about the grief and the love. And This might sound kind of weird as we're going to be signing off here in a moment, but I'm like so excited to grieve with you.
Right. Yes. And I feel like that it is a reflection of how there is this inherent connection or interconnectedness of what we're doing that day, which I think is so beautiful. And we both were like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is amazing. This
Yeah.
is a really beautiful thing because the capacity for being in deep connection and being in repair and the capacity for being with the pain and the struggle of relating and loving and living, they really truly are connected. And sometimes it's hard to really get that unless you experience it. So I really hope that folks who see this will be like, I think I want to go to both, and I want to
Yeah.
learn about how to be in deeper connection, and I want to learn how to be in relationship with my pain. And
Mm,
they really are so important for each
yeah.
other. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I so look forward to sharing the day with you, Teresa.
Yes, I do too, Hazel Grace. So much.
Okay. Blessings to you.
You too. Thanks.